and welcome to Asian Pulse Television. I'm your host, Joshi Reddy. Thank you for tuning into your informative and educational network. We are broadcasting from the unceded territory of Semiahmoo, Katzie, Kwantlen, and Musqueam Nation. We are grateful for the first people of this land. It's time for a short break. I'll be right back after these words from our sponsors.
क्या आप अपना ड्रीम होम खरीदना चाहते हो या अपने घर से पैसे निकालकर अपने किचन या अपने घर को रेनोवेट करना चाहते हो लेकिन बैंक्स ने आपको मना कर दिया है? आप मुझे कॉल कर सकते हैं यानी विक प्रसाद को। मैं एक इंडिपेंडेंट मॉर्गेज ब्रोकर हूं जो कई बैंक्स और क्रेडिट यूनियंस और प्राइवेट लेंडर्स के साथ काम करता हूं।
For more information, please call Vic Prasad at 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is one of the top brokers of Invis Craft Mortgages and is also a member of the Canadian Mortgage Brokers Association of BC.
Hit it! Na 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 na.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005.
Thank you, sponsors. If you would like to be our sponsor and provide sponsorship to any segment of this show, get in touch with Camilla by calling the number 604-537-5123.
Hello and welcome to Asian Pulse. Thank you for watching Asian Pulse. And today I have a very special guest. And I know I've been trying to get guests like this who has gone through transplant. And sometimes when that happens, either people are not willing to talk, not ready to talk, but why is it so important for our community to be a organ donor? We want to encourage all of you, if you're well and healthy, this is the time, or any time is good time to think about saving lives. With me is Deep Rai. He's one of the recipients of kidney donation, and he's my guest today, and we're going to talk about the person that made the donation and his recovery. So welcome, Deep.
Thank you for having me.
Good to know you, good to talk to you, and you look well and healthy.
Thank you.
So talk a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so
You're
as
a
you mentioned,
young man,
my name is
young
Deep.
person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm 35 years old. Pretty much lived in Surrey my whole life. So last year I was diagnosed with stage 5 kidney failure. And it really felt like it happened overnight. We've got no issues of kidney health in the family. So pretty much last year in March, my wife had finally convinced me to get some blood work done. A lot of guys, we push that off. We say, I'm okay, I don't need to do anything. So my wife was pregnant with our first child, and for a while she was saying, get your blood work done, just make sure you're healthy. So I remember March 23rd, it was a Thursday. In the morning I got my blood work done. By the evening I hopped on the portal and we looked at it and the numbers looked crazy. It didn't make any sense. Now they weren't the full numbers, but just what we could see looked very off. Now my wife is a healthcare worker, she's a nurse. So it took her, I don't know, maybe about an hour, and she finally convinced me to go to the hospital. Just get yourself checked out. Because the day before that, I was tearing carpet out of the nursery. We were doing some renovations and getting the nursery ready for the baby. So Thursday night, I went to the hospital, and so they're looking everything over, and they said, okay, well, we're not 100% sure what's going on, but by the looks of it, he probably just needs a blood transfusion because my hemoglobin was very low. So my wife's 5 months pregnant, so they said, why don't you go home for the night? He's probably going to be here all night. It's going to be 3 to 4 hours until we're ready to get the blood transfusion, and another 4 hours until the transfusion is complete. So they kept testing throughout the night. At about 4:30 in the morning, a doctor came to me and said, okay, you should probably sit down, and said you have your kidneys are failing. You're down to 4%. And that's the first time I ever heard that. I had no inkling of any kidney issues. There were symptoms prior to that. But I just, with kidney failure, the symptoms, it's a little bit at a time, and you keep getting used to it. So like the fatigue is one of the biggest symptoms. I thought I was depressed the month prior because I was just so tired all the time. So she says to me, your kidneys are at 4%. And I'm just like, whoa, like, you know.
So what is the normal working kidney?
Well, so the normal range is generally between 80 to 100.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
from
then-
there to 4%.
Yeah, so 4% is stage 5
Yeah,
failure.
yeah.
Under 15%, your body is no longer able to sustain on its own. You need dialysis. Had I not gone to the hospital that day, I probably had 2 or 3 weeks left.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the toxins were extremely high in my body.
Yeah.
So she tells me that, and she leaves. And she said, well, she said, you're going to be here for a while. We're going to admit you. And then she left. And so now, you know, it's 4:30 in the morning, and I'm by myself in the room, and I have my phone. So I start Googling what's going on with me. And
Such a shock.
it's a shock.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, am I going to be okay? So many questions. My wife is pregnant, our first child. And then, so my wife called me around 7:38 in the morning. She says, are you good? I said, yeah, I'm good. Come pick me up. Because she was 5 months pregnant. I wasn't going to tell her this and have her drive to the hospital. So she came to the hospital, and then I said to her, it's your turn to have a seat. I need to tell you something. So that was about 8 in the morning. And then by 11, I already started dialysis. So they operated and they put the line in my neck. So that was my first dialysis. Also did a blood transfusion at that time. So I was in the hospital for, I think, 10-ish days. And I was getting dialysis almost every day. And then they also did another small operation, and they put a tube in my stomach for a different kind of dialysis, one that I could do at home. Yeah, but I mean, I remember laying in the hospital bed, like I was at Surrey Memorial, and I remember looking out the window and just thinking, I got to get back out there. You know, at that time there were so many unknowns. I didn't know what was going to happen. People say, oh, you'll be okay, but you know, that was a lot to process.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember I was in a room there was 3 other patients in my room, and you know, they all had their own issues. And there was a lot of negativity in that room, you know, because I remember the lady next to me, she had some issues with her pancreas, and she was screaming all night long. And so you're in a place where, you know, the optimism is not very high. And on top of that, I've just got this news of stage 5 kidney failure.
Yeah.
35 years old, baby's coming. And you're just like, what? Like,
What is
the
this?
amount of
Yeah.
emotions that are going through your mind, you know, why me, you know, or you start thinking about all the life decisions maybe you made, all the mistakes you made, you know, what about things I could have done differently? What is my life going to be now? You don't know, I don't know what dialysis, you know, yeah, they put the tube in my neck. I didn't know that, I thought maybe that, at first I thought this was just something, they'll do it for a few weeks, I'll be good to go. I thought maybe my kidneys would start working again. And then, so at this point now, I'm talking to a nephrologist who's going to be my kidney specialist, and they said, Deep, you're not going to regain kidney function. And that was a hard thing to hear. And they said, you're going to need a transplant. And, you know, I'm like, wow, okay. And then they said, you could do dialysis at home. And I said, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. A couple times a week, do the dialysis, I'll be fine. And then they said, it's not a couple
And
times
you
a
had a
week.
full-time job then?
Well, now it wasn't working anymore. That
okay,
ended right away.
Yeah, right, okay.
And then the home one is not going to be a couple times a week. It was going to be every day.
Oh, wow. And a
And
baby coming, and you need the space and the room
yeah.
set up for...
Well, and it's all new. I don't know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
need, what I don't
yeah.
need, right? So when the dialysis finally started at home, it was between 8 and 10 hours every day at night. I did that for about 8 months, 9 months.
Were you able to put the tubes and all that?
No, so that was through my stomach.
Okay.
So it was called peritoneal dialysis.
Okay.
And it was a tube that they put in my stomach, and there's an area, not in my stomach, but around my stomach.
Yeah.
And what this machine would do at night, it would pump in 2 liters of liquid into that area and take 2 out. 2 in, 2 out. And it would do that a total of 4 times. And the goal there...
And the process will take about 10 hours.
Yeah, 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah.
And it's not painless,
Yeah.
right? You get a little bit of sleep, and then you wake up, and you get a little bit of sleep, and you wake up, and, you know, it's all night long. And you hear the machine. It's right next to your bed. And I have a tube connected. It was about 20 feet long. So you can disconnect if you need to, but you know, really you know, it's like
That's your life.
it's your life.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
everything's changed so
Yeah.
fast, right? Like, you think at 35 years old, I was out and about, you know, living my life, working on my career, expecting a new baby, and now I'm tied to my bed doing dialysis 10 hours a day,
Yeah.
terminally ill. And so, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, there's the physical battle and then there's the mental battle.
Yeah.
I don't know which, you know, I would say maybe the physical's easier,
Yeah.
probably. But then my daughter was born.
Yes. While
And-
you are still going through
While I'm
this.
still going through all of this.
Yes.
But that was the saving grace.
Yeah.
You know, we named her Assis because she was my, you know, Assis.
Silver.
Because it's very easy to spiral out of control mentally. You know, you can sit there and say, why me? Why this?
So were you present while the baby was born?
Yeah, I was at the hospital.
Okay.
I was doing dialysis
Because the
there.
dialysis was happening in the night time.
So there was two ways of doing it. There's a way that I could do it manually. It's a little bit different without the machine. So I was at the hospital. You know, we were there. So you know, I came home, and so you know, the cord, it was 20 feet. It was just long enough to make it to the diaper change area,
Yeah.
right? So I could still change her diapers at night and stuff like that. But you know, like I was saying, you know, that was the saving grace because it's very easy to sit there, to be depressed, to sleep in every day, which I couldn't because I had a baby now.
Yeah.
To think, why me? You know, all that baby stuff. It just took away that energy, that negative energy. You know, to be able to sit there and focus on all the negatives, I really couldn't as efficiently
Yeah.
because the baby was there,
Yeah.
right? You know, and you know, there were some drawbacks. I was getting really weak, right? I had lost a lot of weight.
Okay.
I couldn't hold the baby for very long because I had a risk of hernia. But I still kept holding her, and I got a hernia. But luckily, it wasn't too bad. So that was the life for a very long time. Now, luckily, I had a disability program through work.
Okay.
As we know, government disability is not very much.
Yeah.
And I feel for those that have to deal with illness and whatnot with their families and then have to rely on, you know, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
I can only
yeah,
imagine,
yeah.
right? So yeah, I mean, you know, you're at home. So we did that for 8.5, 9 months. My wife started an Instagram page. It was called Deep's Transplant Journey. Because how do you ask somebody for a kidney?
Yeah.
How do you ask your friends? How do you ask your family? You know, it's such a big ask.
Yeah.
It's a very daunting thing.
Yeah.
So we thought, we'll create this Instagram page. This is how we can get the word out. This is how we can ask everybody without asking them.
Yeah.
You know, because if I was going to wait, it would have been 3 to 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
And so the idea of, you know, having to do that for 3 to 5 years, it was,
I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes you can't wait.
well,
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing, yes, you don't have no other choice.
Well, a lot of people do
But
wait.
you are also trying to find out, because even though the match too, because even if there's somebody is willing to donate, but they would be, the blood type will be different.
So they do have a paired match program
Yeah.
now. So let's say I have somebody who wants to donate to me, but we're not a match.
Yeah.
And let's say somebody else across the country has somebody that wants to donate to them and not a match. They'll do a cross pair.
Oh,
Right, so my donor will donate to that person. They will donate to me. So ever since they've done that, it's definitely removed that barrier. So you know, so we set that Instagram page up, and we had a few people that came forward. You know, luckily, I will say that the Indian community is one of probably the best community when it comes to helping.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's financially or anything. But then, so we did have somebody in the family that did end up donating. It was my wife's cousin, practically my wife's. You call him my wife's brother, and you know he was so adamant to be my donor. Right, and
Around same age?
yeah, same age, maybe I think a year younger, and because it takes a lot to be that person,
Yeah.
and you know, to see that how, you know, when a test came up, he went, he did it right away,
Yeah.
right? To see that commitment on his end, like I'm trying to keep my emotions
Yeah,
down, just
yeah,
thinking
I
about it,
know,
right?
yeah.
Like, you know, and so it's overwhelming, right? And then when you look at, so he you know, he matched, but you know, like I said, he was committed to match. He was committed to giving,
Yeah.
right? He's such a wonderful soul, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm lucky.
Yep.
You know, so I got my transplant November 27th.
Okay.
right?
Last year.
Last year. So March I was diagnosed. November 27th I had my transplant, and then the recovery started.
Yeah.
Right. I was very fortunate in my recovery as well. You know, I had no other health issues, no diabetes, none of that stuff. So we're going on 6 months now post transplant. I believe 5 or 6 months. And after 12 weeks or so, I started working out again. You know, I've put on about 45 pounds since my transplant. You know, I remember after the transplant when I was trying to cook, I couldn't hold the frying pan. My arms would start hurting. My forearm would start hurting. And I remember thinking, wow, like I didn't realize how weak I had gotten. But at that time, I wasn't so pessimistic anymore because I knew I had a transplant, life's going to get better.
How long were you in the hospital?
5 days.
Okay. And then like
5 days in the hospital, then you're back home. Then you're back to VGH twice a week, every week,
Yeah.
until they say, okay, we can do this virtually now.
Okay.
Because post-transplant, there's a lot of medications. It's for your rest of your life. Because our bodies are so smart, it knows that that is not my kidney. So that medication, essentially, you're tricking your body every day so that your body doesn't realize that, hey, that's an outside organ. Otherwise, your body would attack
Will
it.
reject.
Or reject
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I have 3 kidneys,
Yeah.
right? Everybody always thinks they take one out. They don't take any out. They add another one.
Oh, okay.
So I got a 3rd one here.
Yeah.
And for people that have 2 transplants, they'll have 4 kidneys, even 5 kidneys.
So they never take anything out to make space for the new
The
one?
space is there,
Okay.
but they're not going to take it out because if they're adding a kidney and taking one out, now that is, your body has to heal all of that.
Right.
Right?
It's
So
too much
It's
for the
it's
body.
too much for the body. I mean, you're already very weak. You're already very sick, right? So the goal is to do it with the least amount of stress.
Right.
So within 1 year, I was diagnosed, dialysis, baby was born, transplant, and now full recovery.
You're very lucky, very blessed that
Yeah.
all these things happen.
Yeah.
And especially when you ended up in the hospital
Yeah.
with only 4% your kidney working, and you were lucky, really blessed to find somebody in the family
Yeah.
that was willing to donate and all. So why is it that when we talk about organ donation and we are talking about kidney donation, I know that we go and talk to a lot of different groups and all that, but not everybody will jump on it that, okay, I'm going to donate. I'm going to help out. Or is it lack of information, knowledge, or they are too scared? What is it?
I mean, I think it's a couple of different things. I mean, it's a daunting thing to think that I'm going to give a piece of my body to somebody else, to think I need to put my life on pause for X number of time to do that. I mean, to be honest with you, I never thought about organ donation in my life until this happened to me. So I'm just as guilty as anybody else.
Yeah.
All right. It is a daunting thing to think about than to do. To give a piece of your body to somebody else, but you're also giving them the gift of life.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I would say with organ donation, step 1 for a lot of people is just to register as organ donors, so
Yeah.
that, you know, if something were to happen to them, God forbid, they can be organ donors.
So yours was live.
Mine was a live donor.
Yeah.
So with a live donor, you can expect 20 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, with a deceased donor, 10 to 15 years, as they say.
Oh, I see.
My kidney started working on the 2nd day.
Okay.
With a deceased donor, it can take a few months, right?
So that
again,
is the difference between the deceased and the live donor.
the live donor, yeah. So with the
And
live
then
donor,
you are still taking medication, so you're just trying to fool the body that is your real
Yeah.
kidney is working.
but then the other side of that is,
So what happens after 20 years then?
well,
I
I mean,
mean, for you,
I know
you're
some
very-
people that have had it for 25 years,
Yeah.
right? The key is to make sure you're taking your medication.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. And then on top of that, the other part is making sure your blood work, you're getting it done regularly. Right now it's bi-weekly for me. Eventually it might be monthly. But, you know, nobody's monitoring you to make sure you're doing it. That's on you.
Yeah.
So, you know, if somebody after 5 months says, hey, you know, I feel okay, maybe I'll do it every few months, every 6 months. The thing is that if you're doing the blood work regularly and something such a slide, they can catch it right away. And they can make adjustments to medication. You know, they can fix a lot of stuff. But let's say you're waiting 6 months before you do your blood work. You know, things can get bad pretty quickly in that scenario. And then on top of that is, you know, making sure that you're doing your best in terms of taking care of your body, eating better, You know, if you had bad habits before that, making sure that you don't go back to doing those bad habits.
So you're so young to be diagnosed, and actually when you hear about that, usually 60 plus or a little
Yeah.
older, 50, 55, 60, they are on dialysis. I mean, in my own experience, I have seen older people or seniors go through that and all that. Or even if you go to the hospital, there are people on dialysis at that certain age. Why was that? I mean, do you know why yours
I don't
was
know.
such a young age?
Yeah.
Do you also know anybody around your age who has gone through dialysis? I think one more person I know that was fairly young that came one time, long time
Yeah.
ago, and he was young. He was not
You know,
even
I mean,
married.
I met somebody at the hospital.
Yeah.
He was a little bit younger than I was.
Okay.
That's the only person I've ever met that's gone through it.
Is it
and-
lifestyle? Is it
You know,
doing
it's hard to say because my lifestyle was all right. It was an average lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, like nothing crazy.
Yeah.
And they call it an autoimmune disorder.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like that's something like they really don't know the true cause.
Mm-hmm.
To find the true cause would mean doing a biopsy, going in, taking a piece of the old kidney out. But at that point, I said I don't want to do another surgery.
Yes,
You know, let's
yeah.
not add to it all, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. We're at this point now. We've overcome so much in the last year, and at this point now, I'm just looking forward, watching my child grow up, getting back to work very soon. I am a very ambitious individual, so I really look forward to getting back to work, getting back to business, and moving forward, and being an advocate for all this, to be able to help anybody, especially those that are going through it right now,
There's
because
so many people on the waiting list, and they're waiting to find a donor, right?
and it's not just people in their 60s, people in their
Yeah,
40s, their
yeah,
50s,
yeah.
and a lot of the things that I went through, I can only talk like if somebody else is going through it, I can relate to them.
Yeah.
But if somebody can't relate to you, it's hard to really talk about this thing. And even yesterday, we had the BC the kidney walk.
Yeah.
I met somebody there. It's her husband is going through it. He's in his early 40s, and I started talking to her about some of the things that I experienced, and her eyes opened, and she goes, "That's exactly what my husband's going through."
Yeah.
And I shared my contact information. I'm like, "Have him give me a call." Right? I'm like, I can relate to him. I know what he's going through. I've been there.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's very easy to go down that spiral of negativity and pessimism that my life is over or what's going to happen. It's very easy.
क्या आप अपना ड्रीम होम खरीदना चाहते हो या अपने घर से पैसे निकालकर अपने किचन या अपने घर को रेनोवेट करना चाहते हो, लेकिन बैंक्स ने आपको मना कर दिया है? आप मुझे कॉल कर सकते हैं, यानी विक प्रसाद को। मैं एक इंडिपेंडेंट मॉर्गेज ब्रोकर हूं जो कई बैंक्स और क्रेडिट यूनियंस और प्राइवेट लेंडर्स के साथ काम करता हूं।
For more information, please call Vic Prasad at 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is one of the top brokers of Invis Craft Mortgages and is also a member of the Canadian Mortgage Brokers Association of BC. Please have your pen and paper ready to jot down these numbers. The Father's Day Annual Community Picnic and Hockey Tournament will take place on June 15th at Irwin Park, 13313-68th Avenue from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. The event will feature entertainment, singing, free food, and various booths. This free event is organized by Times of Canada and Times Mortgage Group. For more information, please call Vinay Sharma at 604-782-7624. Salim Salaman will be performing live at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre, located at 600 Hamilton Street in Vancouver on June the 30th. Doors open at 6 p.m. For tickets and more information, please contact Kamal Sharma at 604-833-1977. The Bula Rugby Tournament will be held in Delta on the weekend of August 17th and 18th, featuring over 25 rugby teams from across Canada. For sponsorship opportunities and more information, please contact Sella at 778-713-2418. Relay for Life returns on June the 8th. Rally your team together and sign up to move and be moved with the Canadian Cancer Society. For more information, visit their website at www.relayforlife.ca. The Father's Day Walk and Run is a family-friendly event supporting prostate cancer awareness, which is taking place on June the 16th at Burnaby Lake. For details, visit www.fathersdayrun.ca. If you are organizing any events in your community and want us to promote it for you, please email us at asianpulse@gmail.com. As our time together comes to an end, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. If you miss any episodes, you can catch us on Shaw Cable every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m., Thursdays at 8:30 p.m., and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Our shows are also available in Calgary on Channel 10 on the Shaw Cable Network. And you can find them on our YouTube channel under Camilla Singh Shows. Before I leave, I bring you these thoughts. Family is not about the blood. It's about who is willing to hold your hand when you need it the most. Author unknown. I'm your host, Joshi Reddy. With the heat outside, it's crucial to stay hydrated and keep an eye on the elderly and the babies. Remember, the best way to cool down is by drinking plenty of water. Wishing you all a wonderful day, and we're excited to see you again next week on the same channel at the same time. Bye for now.
क्या आप अपना ड्रीम होम खरीदना चाहते हो या अपने घर से पैसे निकालकर अपने किचन या अपने घर को रेनोवेट करना चाहते हो, लेकिन बैंक्स ने आपको मना कर दिया है? आप मुझे कॉल कर सकते हैं, यानी विक प्रसाद को। मैं एक इंडिपेंडेंट मॉर्गेज ब्रोकर हूं जो कई बैंक्स और क्रेडिट यूनियंस और प्राइवेट लेंडर्स के साथ काम करता हूं।
For more information, please call Vic Prasad at 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is one of the top brokers of Invis Craft Mortgages and is also a member of the Canadian Mortgage Brokers Association of BC.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005.